Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to a new session of Quran for All. Inshallah, let's continue with Ayah 41 of Surah Baqarah. Let's start with the word for word translation. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. So the verse is now starting with wa aminu and believe, wa aminu and believe, bima in that which Anzaltu, I have sent. Anzaltu, root letters known as za and lam. Nazala, to send. And tu here is will tell us that it's I. Okay, Anzaltu, I have sent. Musaddiqan, confirming, like sidq, truth. So something that confirms the truth, right? Musaddiqan, confirming. Lima, that which, ma'akum, with you all, ma'a, with, kum, you all, ma'akum, with you all, wala takunu, wa is la, wa is and, the la is for the negation, not, takunu, to be, so wala takunu, and do not be, awwala kafirin, awwal first, kafirin, kafir, a disbeliever, do not be the first to disbelieve. Be he in it, in what's being sent. He here referring to what is being sent, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. Wala tashtaru, and do not exchange. Again, a wa for and, la for the negation, and tashtaru is exchange. You can say like a trade, buying and selling, trading, exchanging for a price. The ayatina, my signs. Ayat, signs. Ya at the end, so my signs. The ayati, sorry. Thamanan qalilan. Thamanan is a price. Qalil is something that is very small or insignificant, very minuscule. Wa iyaya, we saw this word in the previous verse, and only me, fattakun, fattaqun with for taqwa, fear, and it's a similar word phrase like the previous verse wa iyaya farhabun. Here it is wa iyaya fattaqun, similar with the fa, the commanding verb, and the ni at the end, and fear only me. So let's look at what this verse is telling us. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling the Bani Israel that, wa aminu, and believe bima anzaltu, in that which I have sent, which here is talking about the Quran that's being sent to them. And musaddiqan, which confirms, lima ma'akum, which confirms that which is with you, what that is the Torah. So the Torah was it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling that the Quran is confirming what you already had in the Torah. You already knew that the coming of the messenger, as was mentioned in the Torah. So the Quran is just a confirmation of what was told to you before in the Torah. So you better believe it, and that's what you're supposed to do. And like it was said in the previous verse, that's the promise which the Bani Israel had made to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا تَكُونُوا أَوَّلَ كَافِرٍ بِي, and do not be the first ones to disbelieve it. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِ, and do not exchange, do not sell بِآيَاتِ, my miraculous signs. So if we understand this statement, la tashtaru, or we understand the concept of exchange, of buying and selling, of trade, let's do an example sentence. For if I were to say ishtaraytul kitaba bidarahimi, okay, so if I were to say bidarahimi, that would mean I bought al-kitab, a book with a few dirhams, with a few bucks, right? So what the dirham that came after the ba, after the b, is the price that I paid for the kitab, right? So if you look at the ayah, what's coming after the b, this is the b we're talking about, what's coming after the b is the ayat. So what do you think is the currency that here? The currency are the ayat, the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What it means is that trading the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, trading the knowledge, that trading the ayahs, the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for in exchange for something for personal gains, trading it for worldly gains. And by compromising them, trading basically means that they are compromising them by manipulating them. So that's, you're exchanging something for your personal gain, and in exchange of that you're compromising with the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that what's meant by la tashtaru bi ayati. And thamanan qalilan, it says that don't trade it for a minuscule price, for an insignificant price. So whatever you're going to get in exchange for the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for the ayahs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that price is never going to match up to what you're giving. That's always going to be insignificant. So that's why samanan qalilan, an insignificant price, a very, very small worldly gain, worldly benefit, personal benefit, in exchange for manipulating and compromising the verses of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, and then the verse ends with wa iyaya farhabun, and fear only me. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding that's what we need to do, have taqwa only in me. Let's look at the next verse, inshallah. The next verse tells us, wala talbisu, and do not dress or disguise, coming from root letters lam, ba, and sin. Labasa or labisa means to dress or cover something, clothe something. So wala talbisu, do not dress or disguise or clothe, al-haq, the truth, bil batili, with falsehood. B is with batil, falsehood. Wa taktumu, and hide, al-haqqu, and hide the truth. Wa antum, and you, ta'lamun, you know. So now, what's this verse talking about? So this verse is telling us that, do not dress, do not disguise, do not cover up the truth with falsehood. And, and thereby, by doing so, by covering the truth with falsehood, you can say they're hiding the truth. Okay, so when you dress something, when we dress up, or when we cover, wear a dress and wear clothing, so we hide some parts and some parts are exposed, right? So when we wear a dress, our face is exposed, or maybe our hands are exposed, or our feet are exposed. So you're covering some parts and you're exposing some parts. So that's what it means here, that the people who quote some parts of the verses because that's going to benefit them, and choose to hide some parts of the Quran, of the verses of the Quran, because they may think it's not politically correct, so to say, or it may go against their gains, and so they prefer to not say it. So that's what this verse is talking about. So even by not saying, they're actually hiding the truth. And then the verse ends with wa antum ta'lamun, and you of all people should know this. Okay, you of all people should know that you're not supposed to do this, because the antum, you can see here, is repeated. Ta'lamun already means but but it says wa antum ta'lamun, and you of all people should know this. And this also refers to kind of, those, it's kind of a warning to those people who especially are teaching or preaching the deen in any capacity. It is their responsibility to convey the absolute truth as it is and not manipulate it to their own liking. And this is the only way you can do justice to the knowledge that you have been blessed with. Let's look at the next verse, inshallah. So now the next verse tells us, wa akimu, and establish, is rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is still addressing the Bani Israel. Wa akimu, and establish a salata, the prayer, wa atus, and give zakata, zakah, warka'u, and do ruku, bow down, ma'a, with raqi'in, those who bow down or those who do ruku. So this phrase comes across. We read this phrase many times in the Quran. Wa aqimus salata wa atuz zakah. Establish prayer and give zakah, right? So this kind of tells us that our prayer, our salah, and our financial dealings and our spirituality, which is salah, and our financial dealings, which is zakah, they're interlinked, they're connected. For one to be right, the other has to be right as well. You can't just focus on one thing and neglect the other. They're both interconnected, they are tied to each other. You take care of one, and only then you can take care of the other. So, Allah, and also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ending with warka'u ma'ar raki'in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us to humble yourself with those people who humble themselves in ruku. And it shows us, like, salah is already mentioned before, but still ruku is mentioned again, just to, as a reminder that when all the people are standing in rows in salah, there is no person, there's nothing like a person who is like a rich, there's no rich and poor, there's no better and worse. All that judgment is only and only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In the prayer line, everyone is equal. Doesn't matter what your status is, what your wealth is, you're humble down with everyone else. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding the Bani Israel, and through this dialogue with them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us to be humble with those who are humble. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the guidance and bless us to always be of those who warka'u ma'ar raki'in, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.